This fully functional notebook is about the size of a postage stamp. This one looks pretty cute, but they weren't all so cute. My first attempts were a bit sad. In fact, I went full red string conspiracy trying to make these work. A little unhinged? Definitely. But you know what? It worked. I cracked the code for tiny spiral notebooks that actually function. And now you can make them too, without the conspiracy board. This method is simple, satisfying, and honestly, pretty addictive. Grab the free printable in the description. Here's how to make a tiny notebook you'll be proud to share. I start by printing the front side at high quality, then flip and reinsert to print the back on the back. I'm always a little nervous I'll get this part wrong. Directional directions are confuddling. For the interior pages, I like this Southworth White 75 GSM paper. It's thin, but has a pleasing, slightly grippy texture for a more tactile turn through tiny pages. Once printed, you'll have double-sided mini pages. Like magic. Here's a backlit view so you can see the lines line up through the page, just like full-size paper. To strengthen the covers, either glue them to cardstock with a permanent glue stick, or print them directly onto heavier paper. Matte presentation paper is a good weight for minis, especially the double-sided kind, so you don't have to guess which side is print safe. Every notebook gets 2 covers, a front and a back. These are 12-page notebooks, and each notebook needs its own stack. By the way, these are my paper scissors. The tied thread reminds me. This twin pair cuts fabric only and quietly judges your stitch work. Bold lines do make cutting easier, but visible outlines can steal the magic of a miniature. Therefore, it's worth practicing with faint lines. But you'll want sharp scissors and good lighting on your team. Cut the pages apart and experience the satisfaction of stacking tiny pages into a perfect bundle. And now, it's wire time. A few years ago, I made the tragic mistake of discarding all the packaging to consolidate my wire spools. Who needs it? I thought. I choose by feel. Fast forward to this project, and I found the perfect coiling wire in my stash. But I had no idea what gauge it was, and I was almost out. So I guessed by ordering 3 sizes. The winner? 28 gauge. You'll need about 7 inches of wire per notebook. That gives you extra in case the coil misbehaves. So why 28 gauge? It's thin enough to look right at this scale, but sturdy enough to hold its shape as you turn the pages. Pro tip: the object you wrap around should be slightly wider than your paper stack. In my case, for a 12-page notebook on 75 GSM paper, a 3.5mm inner diameter works great. If you don't have an old beat-up mini awl, a size 4 knitting needle also works. These ones are blue. To create the coil, I start by wrapping the wire around my small awl. Later, I bought a coil making tool, but I still mostly use the awl. It's portable and strangely satisfying. Your wrap might look a bit uneven, like mine. No matter. Squish it all together like a spring about to bounce. Then spread the wire evenly, while it's still supported by your tool and your soul. Uniform coils are much easier to work with, plus they look pretty darn cool. Fun fact: I actually studied real notebooks to figure out which direction to coil. Most wrap counterclockwise or towards you. But honestly, if you wrap the other way, no one will notice. Do what feels natural. trim one end and pull it out just slightly to widen the first loop. You'll see why soon. And now we need some tiny holes. I tried a variety of tools for this step. Punches for leather, punches for jewelry, punches for paper. But even the 1mm paper hole punch was too large. So, pins it is. Push pins with a foam core support backing work pretty well for this. Or use a pinhole tool with handles, which is my favorite method. It's quicker. Also, it's easier to see exactly where you're drilling. Link to this one in the description. A binder clip helps keep the paper stack straight and ordered. This one is fill. The paper stack is thin, so you could drill through it pretty quickly. But misaligned holes are glaringly obvious at this scale. Therefore, it's worth slowing down and lighting your work area well. I use this sort of punch and wiggle method to drill each hole. Now here's something important. Punch your holes down through the front cover and out the back. This does leave tiny exit marks on the back, but I've kind of come to love them. It's a visible reminder that this was handmade by you. But if you must, you can also conceal them fairly well with a marker. We've arrived at the fiddliest part, but don't worry. If your cuts are pretty even and your holes line up, you're already in great shape. Having one end of the coil open a bit wider helps it hook into that first hole. Then gently twist the wire through. If it gets stuck, back up and try again. Sometimes it catches a bit on the inner pages. I'm showing you this part in real time, so you can see it goes pretty quickly with a little practice. If the threading end gets bent out of shape, trim it, extract the offender, and keep on twisting. You've got extra wire. When it's all the way through, trim both ends neatly. Line up the pages with a little tug. And you've just made a tiny spiral notebook. Or several. Perhaps you now wish to hoard tiny notebooks, like a dragon. I've also made a deluxe version of this project to give you more options. It includes 64 cover designs and full sheets of double-sided interior paper, including lined, blank, grid, and monthly planner. Cover styles range from traditional to odd to cats, because cats. The covers are on separate pages, so you can print them on heavy paper without waste. Link to this deluxe version in the description. There's something magical about miniatures that work. And when they're this quick and easy to make, that's a joy that you can share. A whole collection fits on a clipboard. I got so carried away, I made a notebook for each of my coworkers. I brought them to a meeting and handed them out like candy. I watched grown adults light up like kids on Christmas morning. Totally worth it. What will you do with your tiny notebooks?